Another hot day, another hot comparison between a single cylinder motorcycle and a twin cylinder motorcycle.
But this one isn't that energetic or fast like the last comparison. This is much more calmer and chill because these are proper classic Roadster. So let's find out which is the better 650 classic motorcycle, the single or the twin.
And that's why we are here at Autolock Designs. Over here, we can chill and explore these two motorcycles to their fullest and talk about them, bring out all of the key details. So single and a twin. Does the twin make the difference on the highway?
Yes, it does. The twin definitely has the edge over the BSA in terms of the wave of torque which we have known this engine to offer. The BSA feels peppier to say 40 kph. It feels that acceleration is better. But to 100 kph, the classic 650 has the edge. You can cruise in at triple-digit speeds on both these motorcycles. Both have that power to take you at 120, 130 kph. The only problem for me is with the classic 650. This is the first 650 twin engine that we have ridden has vibrations, which we had not encountered before. In fact, even in the motorcycle which I rode in Kunur for the first ride, there was no vibration. But on this particular motorcycle, I don't know why, at 100 kph, it's the highest. You can feel it on the seat, on the handlebar, which is a bit weird. But at 120 kph, it kind of goes down, the vibrations. But there are vibrations, which wasn't the case with the other 650 twins that we have ridden.
You mean to say the twin is more vibey than the single?
Yes, at 100 kph, but I think it is for this particular motorcycle, because I have ridden the classic 650 in Kundu, that motorcycle felt calmer, maybe some issue with this particular media unit. The riding posture, as I was saying, in terms of cruising speeds, you can do 120, 130 kph on the classic 650. The only issue is that the wind blast. Because of the way you sit on the bike, you feel so much wind blast that you don't want to push this motorcycle, say, above 110, 120. But having said that, you also feel the weight of the motorcycle. In terms of acceleration, among all the 650 twins that we have ridden till now, it feels the most laziest in that sense of gaining that speed. The BSA feels more peppier. So on the highway, both the motorcycles can do 100, 120 kph all day long. Just that you feel a bit of more wind blast on the classic 650. And moving on to the city, what's your take on the motorcycles?
Both of them are very easy to ride in the city. Clearly, the wave of torque that you mentioned also helps it in the city. Both of them are very tractable, but just that the engine on that allows you to remain in a gear higher and cruise around the city without working the gearbox, which is certainly better on the Royal Enfield. Having said that, over here, if you are stuck in, say, bumper to bumper traffic, firstly, the clutch on that is extremely heavy. Still, it's been now, what, 7-8 years of that, and we still haven't got a lighter clutch as such from Royal Enfield on that. So perhaps, maybe, say, that area of improvement is required in the future. But more so, 30 kilos heavier. The Classic is 30 kilos heavier than the Gold Star. So to managing it in the traffic, bumper to bumper, it becomes a task. And whatever you say, in first gear, slipping the clutch, this certainly feels easier, and this is definitely the more manageable motorcycle. Having said that, these two are still 650cc engines, single, twin, liquid cooled. So this is bound to throw air onto your legs when you're in stop-go traffic, and even that is bound to be hot. But it's not unbearable of sorts as such, right?
Yeah.
So it depends on where you want the heat to be. Like over there, because the crankcase is large, you'll feel it on the ankles. But over here, you'll feel it more towards your thigh or your calf. So you will feel the heat on both motorcycles, but it's not unbearable.
Yeah, and you're talking about the clutch. So on the BSA, you can use 2 fingers for your clutch. On the classic, full panja clutch you'll have to use because it is very, very heavy. The other aspect is how narrow the BSA is, because it's a twin, it's wider. So if you want to cut through traffic, the BSA feels agile, nimble, easy. The Classic, on the other hand, feels a bit lazy on that end. Anyways, moving on to the next segment, which is
Comfort.
comfort. So let's talk about comfort, and the first aspect that I would like to address is the ergonomics of these two motorcycles.
Does it make you feel like a royal on the bike?
So there are two aspects of the Classic 650 for me. Is the seat height. It is slightly taller than the BSA and it is wider. So when you're sitting on the motorcycle, if you're on the shorter side, you will struggle on this bike because of the width of the motorcycle, which amplifies the seat height. The other aspect is the weight of the motorcycle, 243 kg. You're not gonna miss that weight no matter what, especially when you want to put this motorcycle on a main stand, you want to move this motorcycle around parking. It will be a proper workout for you guys. Second aspect is the way you sit on the bike. I think the riding posture in that sense, on the Classic 650, you feel like you're sitting on the motorcycle. On the BSA, you feel like you're sitting inside the motorcycle. The riding posture somehow feels better on the Classic 650. But my point of view, I don't like the handlebar shape. It is curving back towards the rider. I think a flatter handlebar would have been more natural and
like
better.
This one.
Exactly, like the BSA. And the view from the riding, when you're sitting on the motorcycle, you feel the Classic 650 as a more premium motorcycle. The brackets, everything looks like the chrome switchgear finish. It looks nice. The BSA looks more old school, more retro in that sense. But overall, in terms of ergonomics, I still think the BSA has the edge. Not very particular fan of the seat of the Classic 650 as well, because you have the space, but somehow it was like poking inside my left under thigh.
Same issue here, like the seat itself is not great.
Yeah.
Right? The profile, especially when it narrows towards the tank, it starts digging into the thighs. And as such, not great seats, but over there you get touring seats.
Exactly, you have that option, but both the motorcycles are not per se for long distance riding. In that sense, you have better other options. And talking about pillion seat,
हाँ, किधर बैठेगा?
so Royal Enfield didn't send us the bike with a pillion seat. I think the reason could be because the underbelly might scrape with a pillion. Rider, are you playing it safe but not smart? The BSA, the problem is the seat space, which we have already spoken of in the Interceptor versus the BSA Gold Star Comparo. It's too small, the seat. You are sitting,
And there is nothing behind. So
there's nothing behind, and you're sitting very close to the rider. And unless until you are on the slimmer side, it will make sense. If you are hefty, hatta katta like us or fat like us, that's not the bike for you. But we can't comment on the pillion seat of the Classic 650. We'll have to wait and watch. But moving on, in terms of comfort, how's the ride quality of these two motorcycles?
So both motorcycles technically have similar foundations, right, on paper. But this might feel softer when you take it out for a test ride, but that is the more balanced setup. What I mean is, okay, you take a speed bump in the city, you go over the Gold Star, and it will feel that it's compressing, it's taking the bumps very nicely. Whereas on the Classic, it will feel tossy. Whereas when you start riding, and the more you start riding, you'll feel that the rear on the Gold Star feels very reactive, very bouncy. So it's compressing, but it's returning back to its full form very quickly, whereas that is more balanced. So all of the waviness, that is flattened out on the Classic. Yes, it is definitely the firmer setup, but it's the more balanced setup.
Yeah, I agree with that, which was a big surprise for me personally, because I thought the rear suspension was on the stiffer side when I first rode the motorcycle in Kundur. But now when I'm riding here on the roads around Pune, I could feel that the suspension setup is plusher, slightly more sophisticated compared to the BSA. Not the most comfortable out there, clearly, not both the motorcycles. Like the Classic 350 suspension setup is like the kind of the gold standard for the Roadsters, I think, in that segment. Classic 650 is far from that. But among these two, I think still you have better comfort in terms of ride quality on the Classic.
I think so, because you can't get that Classic 350, say, ride quality with a 243 kilo motorcycle, right? Somewhere along the way, that weight has to, say, show itself, and Royal Enfield has to tune the suspension accordingly. But having said that, okay, ride quality, comfort is there. A small part of the public who are going to buy this are going to take it out into the twisties. So how do you feel is the handling setup of these two bikes?
So handling wise, clearly the BSA has the edge. That's chassis, the way the motorcycle has been set up, smaller wheelbase, smaller wheels just makes it more fun around the twisties. The Pirelli tires also help you over there. But the surprising part for me is the Classic 650. It's like a whale out there, but still the way it handles, it will blow your mind. You think this motorcycle will not take corners, but it does. And it does in a very good and fun manner. So you can actually lean this motorcycle. Yes, the foot pegs get grinded easily, but till that point, you can have fun on the Classic. But among the two, sheer fun. The handling wise, the BSA has the edge, not only on the twisties, but also in the city. It's nimble, it's agile, it's fun. So BSA clearly has the more fun element over there.
Yeah, and when you're having fun, you require good brakes, good tires. Thankfully, both of them have similarly good enough brakes, and the tires are slightly better on the Gold Star.
Yes.
The issue that I have with the Royal Enfield's brakes is the rear brake exactly, because the moment you do even a light tap on it, it just locks up. It doesn't say kick in the ABS, but it locks up,
Yeah.
and it's just like, whoa.
And it's too strong, the bite,
Yeah.
and it kind of feels very unnerving, especially on such a heavy motorcycle with such a very heavy, long wheelbase. It's too sensitive, the rear brake, while the front brake is very dead in that sense. It doesn't have the feel, it doesn't have the feedback. Not a big fan of these levers. Yes, they are adjustable, but in terms of the overall feel of a brake lever, that's missing. That's better on the Gold Star in that sense. Yes, on this particular motorcycle, I think the feel was slightly missing, but we have ridden the other motorcycle, and on that bike, the feel and feedback and the bites from the brakes were on point. Even the ABS calibration is fine on the BSA. It's just the problem is that the rear brake on the Classic 650 is a bit too sharp, and if you're riding this motorcycle for the first time, please get used to it. It can be unnerving.
Yeah, and so that's about the riding experience, but you don't just buy retro motorcycles to ride, you also buy them to adore them, right?
Yeah.
Design-wise, I think Royal Enfield have done a smashing job of getting that classic look classic.
Yeah. So as you can see on this particular motorcycle, all the classic 350 elements are present on this motorcycle. The headlight, the nacelle, the fuel tank shape, the mudguard shape, everything is similar to the classic 350, and they have got it right in terms of the form factor. My only issue is that it feels like a stretched out classic 350 in profile. Not a big fan of the gap of the mudguard and the rear tire, which feels a bit odd. But overall, in terms of visual presence and appeal, like you park this motorcycle, especially in this chrome shape, it just grabs attention. It's a proper rock star in that sense. The BSA, on the other hand, is a very beautiful looking motorcycle. Yes, in terms of proportions, it might not look as big as this. It looks like a 300, 400cc motorcycle per se in the dimension wise. But the form factor of the BSA, lovely, lovely bike.
Yeah, but you mentioned that that is the more retro looking motorcycle, but that actually has more modern features on board, right?
Which is surprising.
LED lighting, adjustable levers, and a tripper navigation pod. Whereas on this, I have to struggle to look at the fuel gauge, and they have thankfully given us 2 trip meters. We're like, wow, thank you BSA for that. But to their credit, the halogen bulb works brilliantly. That LED headlight doesn't work at all. And the adjustable levers, while helpful, to change those is going to cost you a bomb.
Yeah, they are expensive. Even the other aspect of the BSA is the way the USB ports have been positioned closer to the handlebar. You have 2 ports over there, not a single port. So on the Classic 650, it's below the switch gear, not very ergonomic in that sense. But in terms of overall quality, I think the Classic 650 just kills it. The whole fit and finish of this motorcycle is a huge step up for Royal Enfield in terms of from what they were before and what they have. The anodized finish on the frame, the chrome finish. I don't think so anybody else does chrome finish as good.
Just look at the difference in the chrome mudguards between the two, right?
It just looks so dull.
It's just wow. Like Royal Enfield, masters of chrome.
Absolutely. And just not the chrome finish, even the wires are very properly packaged. The weld quality is good. And overall, when you sit on this motorcycle, you just feel that, yes, you are sitting on a premium motorcycle. I'm not saying the BSA is badly built. It's just that the Royal Enfield has the edge in terms of the fit and finish. But yeah, quality-wise, Royal Enfield nails it. Visual appeal, the Classic 650. And features also to a certain extent. So yeah, Royal Enfield having more features than a BSA.
Yeah. And that brings us to the verdict. So let's address the price out of the way. This is the more affordable motorcycle. It starts at around 3 lakh rupees, and this version, which is the top spec legacy version, goes up to 330, 335. The Classic 650 starts at 337, and this is the top version, goes to 350.
Yeah.
All prices ex-showroom. So is that 30,000 rupees more justified?
So before that, I need to mention one point is that both the manufacturers are charging you more for color.
Yeah.
There is nothing different between there's no variant. It's the same motorcycle for the BSA and for the Royal Enfield. Just for the colors, you have to pay 30,000 extra. Now coming back to the value aspect, I think Royal Enfield has killed the pricing of the Classic 650. We thought the motorcycle would be around 3.5 ex-showroom, but they have got it at a very competitive price, just above the Interceptor in its price portfolio, below the Shotgun also. And compared to the BSA, being a twin motorcycle, twin engine, the value aspect of the Royal Enfield, I think, is better. The BSA is a good motorcycle, but I think could have been priced better because it doesn't have many modern features. Yes, it has Brembo brakes and Pirelli tires, but still, I think the pricing of the BSA could have been slightly more aggressive, especially with the pricing of the Classic 650.
Yeah, like we had mentioned it when we compared it with the Intercept itself, right? If it was just 10,000 rupees lesser or even as that shock value, then this would have gained a lot more prominence. And to their credit, Royal Enfield has a well-established network, right? So the Classic 650 is going to be available in lot more showrooms.
Yeah.
Whereas the BSA is not available in all Java, Yazdi showrooms also. So this is even more limited, even say lesser reach for the buyers. And again, we've heard quite a bit of stories of the BSA fit finish and even the maintenance of it being a little bit of an issue right now. We've experienced it firsthand on, say, a media unit which had come. Whereas we know that the 650 platform is very reliable, very solid. Nothing major or dramatically wrong that it happens with it. And it's not like the Himalayan also, like where the chassis is an issue.
Yeah, because this is what now 7 years old, the whole 650 Twins platform. So in terms of that, Royal Enfield has got it right. And the motorcycle per se, among the two, the BSA feels the more authentic in terms of a roadster retro motorcycle. The Classic feels like a very different motorcycle in its feel. It's a very big bike. And if you're a Classic 350 owner wanted to upgrade, I think there's nothing else in the market for you to upgrade. Among these two motorcycles, the BSA is better in terms of a commuter if you want to ride the motorcycle in the city. But the Classic, we feel, has the edge, that twin-cylinder engine, refined, lots of torque, makes you feel good. The way the motorcycle looks, the proportions of the motorcycle, the value aspect of the bike, and in fact, the fact that it is a Royal Enfield and it will be easily available. And yeah, you cannot miss the Classic 350 charm. Like the Classic badge has so much attraction for any buyer of the segment.
See, in the end of the day, between these two, I would say gravitate towards the Classic 650, but still I'm not thoroughly satisfied with the Classic 650 because of what the beautiful 350 is.
Yeah, compared to the 350, the kind of expectations we had. Yeah, a 350 with a 650 engine, no, it is not like that. What we had expected. This has a different character, it has a different personality compared to the Classic 350. So don't expect ki if you upgrade from a 350, you will be a natural fit on this motorcycle. No, that will take some time, especially the weight of the bike. Again, the weight of the bike will always keep on haunting you. But if you want that Classic 650 Roadster motorcycle, I think the Royal Enfield has the upper hand this time around. Yes, the BSA was better than the Interceptor when we compared it last year, but I think Royal Enfield is back with vengeance because the Classic 650 does make better sense. What's your take?
We know that an Interceptor 750 is coming in the offing. So this is perhaps the last 650 model from Royal Enfield, and they've done a phenomenal job.
Bullet आएगा, Bullet भी आएगा.
Basically, handlebar change करके Bullet बुला दो. But yeah, okay. So that is our take on these two motorcycles. What do you think? Which one of these two would you pick? Do let us know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and share this video. Subscribe to our channel. Hit the bell notification icon. And Arun, do they need to do anything else?
Yes, always wear your riding gear. Please be safe. Please be alert on the road and enjoy your ride. Thank you for watching.